Hello, I'm making this video to help you to learn how to make graphs using Google Sheets. To begin with, you're going to need to enter your data into the spreadsheet. So you're going to need to open up Google Sheets and you're going to need to enter the data that you have in your data table on your lab sheets into the spreadsheet. Now, in order to make the graph properly, it really works best to have whatever it is that you would like to have on your x-axis, which is usually your independent variable, or in this case particularly, most of us are going to have, they want to have a graph of your percent hatched over time. So in this case, I have the day that's going to be on my x-axis. And I know this is going to be my x-axis because I entered it into my A column. So whatever you want down there on that x-axis, put that in the A column. I did enter day 1, which was the day we started the experiment, and I notice that there are zeros for percent hatched for each one of those days. It still works best to include that so that we have a starting point on our graph. So enter day 1, day 2, day 3, and then you're going to need to enter the percent hatched because that was our dependent variable, the thing that we were measuring. You're going to need to enter that for each one of those appropriate days. So we had 3 different treatments, which were truly our independent variable. High, medium, and low I have listed here. It's generic. You have different ones. Yours are going to be things like the salinity concentrations that you'll have entered into your row number 1, or it might be temperatures, or it might be light levels. Whatever you put in this row as headers, those are going to be the labels on your legend. So do make sure that you do include labels there so that your points on your graph are, you can tell which ones are which. Then you're going to enter your percents hatched that you collected, that data that you collected for each one of your treatments in the appropriate boxes. Okay, so then we are ready for getting the graph going. So in order to get the graph going, next thing to do would be to highlight your whole data set. Okay, so the whole data set's highlighted, and then you can do insert chart, or I just like to use this little icon over here that looks like a little bar graph, because that'll do the insert chart for you. All right, so there you go. That's what you start with. Now this is something that it's not a horrible graph, but it definitely still needs some work if we're going to meet all of the graphing rules. So first of all, for this graph, the first thing to decide is what type of graph should this be. Now, because day is a continual thing, you may choose, likely should be choosing, to have this be a line graph. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to change the chart type first of all. Chart style, notice over here we have data as a choice and then customize as a choice. So I'm going to change my chart style. Sorry, it's over here in the data. I'm going to change my chart type from a column chart to, we're oftentimes going to be using the scatter. So I'm going to click on that. All right, there's a few more things. Now we've got this as a scatter, so it's kind of like a pointed plots thing. We're going to make this into a line graph now. Most of the rest of the stuff is going to be in that Customize tab. The things that you're going to need to do, if you take a look at this, there's definitely some stuff missing on this graph. You should have a label on your y-axis. It's got no label on it, and that's necessary in order to get full points. You need to have a more descriptive title than that. And then the other things that would be nice to have for this graph would be nice to have a few more grid lines this way, because those are really big number increments. And then it really would also be nice to have some trend lines for each one of your data series. All right, so that's what we're going to be working on getting set up here next. All right, so in Customize, I am going to next go into chart and axes titles. So here you have a choice. This is a pull down here for vertical axis title, or you could do the overall chart title and the horizontal axis title. So all of those are choices. Let's just start with the main chart title. Right now it's listed as high, medium, and low. You can just click on this and change it there, or you can change it within the chart editor. All right, so high, medium, and low is not an acceptable thing. You need to have a more descriptive title. A good sentence starter is the effect of blank on blank. So that's what I'm going to do. The effect of, and this is where you are going to indicate whatever your independent variable is. Remember that my data is generic, so I'm going to leave that as X. The effect of X on brine shrimp hatching. Okay, there's a much better title. And so that one is good. We can change stuff on here. You can change the font if you want. Here I can make it bold. I can change its color. I can make it, purple if I want to. Then I need a vertical axis title. I need a y-axis title. Right now it has no label on it at all. What we have there, that 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, that would be our percent hatched. Okay, and once again, it just pops right up there, and you can change the font, and you can change the size, and you can change the color, and all of that stuff if you would choose to. All right, so I think we're good on the titles now, closing that up. Now I'm going to go into the series. Now the series, that is what your data is. You have got several data series here. That's what's plotted. So I'm going to go in there. And you can either work with all series at the same time, or you can pull down and you can change each of them individually. So let's say that I just really don't like that yellow. So I can change, I can just pull up low there, and I can change it to, say, green, if I prefer that to be green. Okay, so I could do that if that's something you want to do. I can change the shape of the points if I want to. I can make it triangles if I want to. And if I want them to be a little bigger triangles, there, I can make them a little bit bigger triangles. So that's something that's just preference. You can work with that. Those are kind of almost fun to play with. But I think I really would like to have some trend lines on this graph to show a little bit better the effect of this independent variable that you're dealing with. So I'm going to go to all series rather than adding my trend lines individually. I'm just going to go to all series. I'm going to click on trend line, and boom, there they are. And I would like them to be maybe a little bigger. They're a little thicker now. Okay, so I've got those indicated. The last thing that I mentioned is I think I would like to have a few more grid lines on my vertical axis here. They will end up being horizontal lines, but they're in between your vertical axis components. So where's that? All right, let's close up the series. Vertical axis. I'm going to pull down vertical axis, and in there. You can change the minimum and the maximum. Maybe not in here. Oh yeah, there's grid lines. I can pull that down. So my vertical axis grid lines, right now I have major grid lines automatically. Those are the 0, 20, 40, 60, and so on. Minor grid lines, I'm going to add a few of those. You can choose how many you want in between. Try to make them numbers that are are counting numbers, not decimal things. So if I put 3 in between, then like it goes 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So that makes some sense. Nice round counting numbers. All right, I think my graph has got everything that I need in order to get a full credit graph. The last thing that I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to get this into my lab report. So if I click on my graph, 3 dots over here, that'll give me the option to do all sorts of stuff with this graph. I can save it, but what I think we just need to do is to copy it, and then you can paste it right into your lab report.